Okay, hi everyone. Today we are interviewing Mandy Johnson, the operations manager at Stevenson High School in Illinois. And I have to give this one a little bit of a preamble. The reason I'm very excited to interview you is because you are the only operations manager that I've ever met before at a high school. And I think that there's going to be a lot of people that are interested in like, what the heck do you do? And so before that, I wanted to welcome you, Mandy. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. I'm excited.
Good. So I just want to jump into the questions, but before we get into specifically what a operations manager is at a high school, a public government entity in the United States of America, tell me about Stevenson High School,
Yeah.
because for those who either aren't from Illinois or have never heard of it, it is incredible. Like, I don't know how many students, maybe there's rankings, your
Yeah.
community. Share a little bit and give people context about Stevenson High School.
You know, like how weird it is to talk about yourself. Like, I feel like I'm bragging about my baby when I talk about Stevenson, but it really is a special place. And we are at our highest enrollment we've had, which is about 4,800 students on one campus. So we're one building, but it's very large. So it
It's
can
late. It's like
take,
a college. It's like a mini
yeah,
college.
it's like a small college. Yeah, you've been here. It can take 7 minutes to get from one side to the other, pretty much. But we're also ranked. We're the top school in Lake County. We're like number 6 in Illinois, and then in the top 50 nationwide for public schools. You know, education is our number one priority. And so you'll hear all of that. And then when we kind of get into the operations piece of it, it's like, well, where does that fall in? Because education and curriculum are the most important pieces of all of us that are in education, but it's extra special here at Stevenson for sure.
Yeah, and I remember when I visited you on campus, I don't know, probably 6 months ago, you told me something that I don't even know if you remember if you told me this, but you said people will literally move to the tax code of Stevenson High School just to get their kids to go to that school. And sometimes they might not even live there. Well, I don't know if they live there full time or not, but is that actually a true statement? They'll do
Yeah.
that?
It's become somewhat transient in this area. You definitely have people that either want to move in district when their kids are little because they're going to go to Stevenson. But I was just on a call the other day with some of our financial advisors, and they're like, we were talking to someone in Arlington Heights, another suburb close by, and they said that they sold so their kid could go to Stevenson. So they move in for the 4 years and then they move back out.
Okay, so that's a little bit of a preamble. And also for anyone who's interested, the school is just gorgeous. It is beautiful, immaculate, well
Yeah.
run, honestly, because I
If
think
you're in
the operation.
education, yeah, if you're in education, we offer site visits. Educators from all over the country come here to see us and see what we're about and what our learning community is like. So it's really special.
Wait, let's talk about that, because I remember when I visited you, you told me that, and I was like, oh, is that a thing that schools do? So you have an open forum where schools or school leaders can come. You'll show them the school. You'll show them how operations are done. You'll talk about how you think about learning. Can you give a few examples of how often that's happening, why it's valuable to other school leaders?
Yeah, for sure. So we have someone that heads that up from our district office. This really is the birthplace of the PLC. So for those that are in education, you know, that's our learning community and how important it is. So we offer site visits. I want to say it's every other month about, and they range from 50 to 100 people, and they come in and they might want to look at our bookstore. It could be facility based, but also they're in sessions with our principal and things like that, hearing about our curriculum, how our core teams work within each of the curricular departments to see kind of how we've gotten to where we are. And one of the, special things is we're always looking of how we can be better. We don't think we're there yet, but we're striving for that.
Yeah, that actually touches upon on culture, which from visiting the school, I think is one of the reasons you guys are so successful, and that you are so successful already. But you just said a statement that we think we're good, but we're just not there yet. You're striving for
Yeah.
something more.
Yeah. Our
Um,
culture is everything to us. I mean, I think everyone wants that wherever you work.
and Mandy, you used a term just now that I've never heard before, and some other folks might not know. What is a PLC?
A PLC is a professional learning community.
Okay, great. Let's now jump into operations manager. I'm so excited. What is an operations manager at a high school?
I ask myself the same thing every No, it is an exciting world. And I say that jokingly, like I ask myself every day, but it is evolving all the time. But predominantly, how I like to see it is our team is responsible for making it easy to do business with Stevenson. So we are kind of the sister arm to the district office, helping the school run on a day-to-day basis. So every school is set up differently, and I've learned that. I've been in education now 3 years, and no district looks the same. But for us in operations, we do everything from registration to financial assistance. transportation, facility management and rentals, to cash handling within the building, the school store, things like that. Really anything that's not curriculum and is not in the district office kind of falls here.
Yeah, this is so funny for folks who either haven't been in high school for 20 plus years like me, even though I visit them a lot because our customers are there, but who just don't step in high schools on a day-to-day basis. You don't really think of all these things, but if you have a school like Stevenson that God knows how many square feet it is, but you have 4,000 students, you probably have 200 staff member. When I visited you, there was someone to check me in. There was a badging system. There was a security guard that had to walk with me from somewhere to another place because I was a visitor. All that infrastructure was built. Are things like that also in your pure purview? And do you manage those things as well?
Yeah, partially. We're shifting some things around. We have someone who is a security manager here who handles like all of those, but we work hand in hand with each other on all the safety protocols for our building. We try really hard to give our kids the freedom, but also making sure it's a really safe place for the community.
Yeah, that's helpful. And can you explain to me, you mentioned your team before. Who's on your team? Like, what are their roles? What are some of the things that they're doing?
Yeah, there is almost like as guesses what an operations manager does. We call them school operations specialists. That's just a way to say that they are well versed in all of those things that I just mentioned. So we have one person who a majority of her job is transportation. We outsource transportation. Some schools have it in-house, but it's still almost a full-time job. She's constantly talking to the bus companies. She also handles like our facilities. So when people need to use a room, things like that. We have an administrative person who does more like the support. So anything from like a student comes in because they forgot lunch money or they need a new ID, things like that flow through here. So it's a very revolving door office. We're one office that we can never have everybody go to a team lunch at the same time because it has to stay open to make sure that we're here for parents and students.
Yeah, and actually,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. The constituents you serve, there's of course the end game is the students. There are the parents who is very tightly coupled into a student's education. But then there's also other staff, payroll, HR, like the operations. I have a question about maternity leave. Does that roll up to you or no?
No, that all lives in our district office. Actually, my good pal, that's where we call ourselves the sister team. Shannon's team handles things like benefits, payroll, all of that. So I know you'll get to hear about all of that soon.
Yes. Hint, hint. Shannon's awesome. We're going to have her on soon.
We also have the school store in operations underneath us too. So long are the days where money's being collected in teacher drawers. So we not only sell apparel, but we collect all student funds, fees through our school store as well.
A few more questions. You didn't come from the public sector. You came from the private sector. What did you do before? And then how did you transition into education?
So before I came here, I was at the same company for 10 and a half years in the hospitality industry. It was American Hotel Register Company. So we sold.
What's a hotel? Is there an actual? Do they own hotels?
They don't. We sold supplies to hotels. So the joke was, if you dump over a hotel, anything that falls out, we sold. And so
I was the little soap and the shampoo.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're going to notice it now when you travel.
Yeah. You're the person. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
And I did operations for that company. COVID happened, things changed, and I was ready for a change. Someone else I knew was like, hey, there's this role. Are you interested? And I'm like, at a school? Like, I don't know. And then it just worked out. And so it's a completely different industry, but I'm very project manager based, looking to support and like help people be successful. And so the operations side of it really lined up well.
What would be one thing about your job that would surprise people?
That I really like the crazy.
I love that. I like the crazy. Why do you like it?
I'm not a person. I don't want to come in and know like, oh, I'm just going to check these boxes. If you do that, that's nothing against anybody that does do that. Because all of those jobs are very important. But I like knowing that I can make a difference and coming in and being able to take something from the start to finish and find a vision that I have in mind of how we're going to improve a process to make it better, whether that's for the students, parents, or our staff.
I imagine with like 4,000 kids, every kid has on average 1.5 to 2 parents, pending the household, hundreds of staff, everything from teachers to coaches to office facilities. there is something different every day.
Yeah, there's definitely something different every day. And I would say it is a close-knit community. Like, people laugh. I'm in school right now and people are like, oh, you work at Stevenson. But until you really come here, you don't understand. Like, and I talk about, we help kids that need financial assistance. And while I say it's 8% of our student body, and that sounds so small, and it is small compared to other areas, when you think about 4,800 students, that's over 300 kids that do need financial help. And so we really are having an impact on these kids for their future.
That's great. What advice would you give for someone who wanted to start in this role or who is an operations manager now? I would love to meet them. You're the only one I know, but what advice would you give?
I joked with a student the other day because I'm like, oh, what are you going to school for? And he's like, business. I'm like, what do you want to do with it? And he's like, I don't know, like maybe banking or something. I'm like, you could always come to a school. Like, I just don't think people think of schools as going into a field where you could have a finance background or a business background or anything like that. So any advice I would give is to look online. You can search operations. That's the thing. The titles are different everywhere. And that's where I go to say is it's different everywhere too. Some places have a facility and grounds manager. Some places have just a transportation manager. But I think in some of these bigger districts, there is that central source of an operations person or department. You know, the person I report to, he's our assistant principal for operations. And everyone's like, well, what does that mean? And that's everything from student discipline to safety of the campus to the upkeep of the campus and everything operations.
Yeah. And something I've known you for probably 7 or 8 months now. You're very calm and you're very organized. Like somehow there's like a mess of things happening and you very calmly, like you take it and you just digest it one by one. Do you think that this role lends itself to people who are very structured and organized like that or no?
Yeah, I think you need to have some sort of organization to be successful and not get overwhelmed. But it has to be organization that works for you. And when you say like, I'm calm, I don't think of myself as calm. And other people say that too. And I'm like, I just don't show you all what's going on like in the back of my brain here.
Yeah.
But I think it's also because I thrive in that too. Like it's more challenging to me. And I'm looking every day of how I want to change how I organize things. So what I do today may not work tomorrow, but finding what works is what keeps me going.
The last open question to ask you, is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should be asking you or that you want to share?
Well, my only question, and it's kind of like joking, but like, we love Omella. Like, do you want to talk about Omella at all?
Well, that's very kind of you. No, I don't want to. Like, we make it easy to accept money in schools, but the vision of this podcast is to really focus on people who are helping schools run and tick and also making impact on student life. So we believe that, and I believe personally that
for sure,
a really large percentage of a student's outcome and success comes from outside the classroom, not just learning science or math or history. Those are critical, but that's what everyone talks about. There's this whole infrastructure of things that happen and human beings who lead those things that really impact students' lives. And we want to be this thing in the background that helps showcase that. So it's very kind of you. Thanks for using it. But it's not about us.
I do think that's important what you said, though, and lends well to that. It is all about relationships, right? Like that is one thing. I don't want to have 10 different vendors that we're working for, whether it's for transportation or ordering t-shirts or collecting money or anything like that. So the more we can work with our partners to build that relationship is so important. My boss just said to me the other day, nobody says anything about operations unless it goes wrong. It's not, don't get into it if you need all the accolades, because it's not. We do function somewhat in the background, but we also have the opportunity to make a big difference and make people's lives easier. So,
yeah, you summed up the title of this podcast, which is Beyond the Classroom, so well just now. You nailed it. If people want to get in contact with you, is there an email, Twitter, website, anything you want to share? How do they get in contact with
definitely. You can definitely reach out to me, and I don't know if you can post it anywhere, but my email is ajohnson@d125.org. People get confused. Don't follow Mandy. My full name's Amanda, so it isn't A Johnson. But I would welcome anything. I'm somewhat new to education too, so I'm still building my network, and I would love to meet more people. So whether you're in operations or you're not, let's talk.
Mandy Johnson, Stevenson High School Operations Manager in Illinois. Thank you so much. It was nice having you.
Thanks for having me.